We're talking Southern rock influenced country music today, and Devin Cooper hangs his hat here in the Great White North. Devin, you're talking to me from Calgary, Alberta?
I am sitting here in my home studio in Calgary.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, you're one of the few country artists that I've talked to that hasn't made the big move to Nashville. So is there any pressure to do that and move your studio there?
Well, it's interesting. I spend a lot of time down there writing, and actually headed down there in just over a week. I have some shows down there for the upcoming album release, and it's fun to go down and come back, and we've got so much family here. Calgary's such a great city. I think for now we're going to keep heading back and forth. It's fun to go down there and dive into the scene, but I think we're gonna keep calling Alberta home for a while.
Okay, and Alberta's been so good to you, like tons of awards, tons of support. Have you done a lot of the writing there too?
Yeah, I write a ton in Alberta with a lot of really good friends here, as well as, like I said, down in Nashville writing a lot. But it's funny, you go to Nashville and you get in a room and you end up writing with a bunch of Canadians. So you just go to Nashville to write with Canadians, basically. But lots of people in Alberta that I write with and collaborate with, and it's a phenomenal scene here.
Okay, and at the CCMAs, you guys got a nomination for Creative Team of the Year. So was that your Nashville writing crew or up in Alberta?
That was actually for all of the whole album design package that we did for my EP, Good Things, back in 2022. And it was the whole Deluxe Edition merch package that we had put together at the time. And it was a tour program and a digital booklet and basically packaging and presentation of the album that got us that nomination.
Would that be the album that was re-released today with 22 tracks?
It is. That was the first one. It was 8 songs. It was the start of the story. And after I released that 8-song EP, it was 4 songs fully produced, 4 live acoustic. And I started writing songs for what was to be my sophomore record. And as I was writing them, I was looking at all the songs and realized that these were all the rest of the story of Good Things that I hadn't told yet. And it didn't seem right to move on to the next chapter without fully telling the Good Things story. So we kept writing and kept pulling stories together, and we ended up with Good Things Deluxe Edition, which is now 22 songs, and it is the complete Good Things chapter.
Right, so it's 11 produced songs, 11 live tracks. Now, with the studio scene and the live scene, which one do you like better?
It's so interesting. It's really fun to kind of have both versions, and we can adjust the live show to now do either version of the track. And my live band is also the band that played in studio on the record. So when we go out and play the tracks live, whether it's fully produced or the stripped down acoustic versions, the live band that you hear at the shows is the same band that played on the record. So, I mean, all of it's fun. I love getting to play with those guys. I feel very fortunate to have the band that I do whenever we get to play together and whenever we put the songs together for a live show, whether it's fully produced or acoustic, it's always a blast.
And you're really lucky to have those guys in studio and on the road, because usually people are hiring different musicians for that. Like, did you grow up with these guys? Where did they come from and who are they?
They're all Alberta-based musicians. I feel incredibly lucky and fortunate to have been introduced to them years ago. On keyboards, we have Brendan Waters. He plays keyboards, organ, all of that. Dobro banjo and slide guitar, we have Mitch J. On electric guitar and acoustic guitar, we have Brennan Wall. On drums, we have Greg Williamson. And on bass, who is also one of my producers, as well as the band leader and musical director, we have Justin Kudding.
That sounds like quite a team. So are you guys going to be hitting the road with this album?
We've got some shows coming up. It's going to be an absolute blast. We're headed down to Nashville. I'm going to be playing Raised Rowdy Songwriter Round on September 22nd. After that, I'm flying all the guys down, and we're going to be playing Whiskey Jam on Monday, September 23rd, which is going to be an absolute blast. And right after that, we're headed back up here at home. And as of now, we've announced Beau's Barn Stage in Red Deer on October 3rd, which is just down the road from my hometown. So that's going to be a blast. And then right after that, we're headed down to Medicine Hat. We're playing at Ralph's on October 5th. And there's a bunch more dates to come as well. But those are the ones that we're leaking for today anyways.
And the album's going to be, well, it's already available anywhere you get your music, but you've got some vinyl available too, right?
Do have vinyl. I have vinyl and CDs, and the vinyl actually was mastered and pressed right here in Calgary, which is really cool. So there's Calgary, Alberta, and Canada all over this record, and to have it made right here in Calgary. It's a double album. All of the vinyl is gold in color. It's pretty cool to just have it made right here in basically my hometown.
So that vinyl will be available at any of the stops you guys are making on this tour?
Absolutely. Vinyl will be available, CDs will be available, and we've got a bunch of other new merch as well. That's
I did see that on your website. Pretty cool. And I also saw on your website that you were part of the Ride to Remember, and they raised almost $51,000 for Alzheimer's Society of Calgary this year.
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. This is my 5th year running this charity event, Ride to Remember, in support of the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary. And we've now raised just over $100,000 in the 5 years that we have ran the event, and it just keeps growing every year. There's so much amazing support from the community here in Calgary and surrounding area. Last year, we had set out a goal to raise $15,000 at the 4th annual event, and we ended up raising just over $40,000.
Whoa.
So when we started planning the 5th annual event, we figured we had to go $50,000 for the 5th year, and who knows, maybe we can do $60,000 for the 6th year next year.
Oh, that's a good goal to have, and what a great way to give back to your community. Way to go.
Thanks.
Let's go back to your childhood and how this all started, because as I understand it, you wanted a guitar starting when you were 5 years old, but you had to wait till you were 7?
I did. I started begging my parents when I was 5 years old, and they were like, "You're 5 years old. In 2 weeks, you're going to want to do something different." And so I kept begging and begging and begging. And finally, when I was about 6, I was still begging for a guitar. And my parents said to me, "Well, save up your money from, your report cards, do good in school and your allowance and doing your chores. And if you save up your money, eventually you'll have enough money you can buy your own guitar." So I saved up my money till I was just over 7 years old. And then I walked out Christmas morning and there was a brand new shiny black electric guitar and amp sitting there for me. But it came with the condition that I had to pay for my first 6 months lessons with all of that money that I had saved up.
Oof. If you had money left over from the guitar, that's not too bad. But if you had to start over and save up all that report card money.
Oh, I know. So it worked out well.
So how did you get to mixing country and rock? Did your mom like country, your dad like rock? How did that all work?
Well, growing up in a small town, you're constantly surrounded by, I suppose, country activities growing up, going to everybody's farm for parties and river parties and going to the rodeo. So I was surrounded by country music in that aspect. But my mom was a big 80s hard rock and hair metal fan, and my dad is a big southern rock and blues fan. So that was the music that I listened to growing up in my house. But I was doing all of these country things and going to all these country parties and camping and doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I always liked the storytelling aspect of country music. And I don't even think I realized it at the time. But when I first started writing music, it was fairly rock influenced. But the lyrics I wrote, I always wanted to tell some sort of story. So I think I was writing country music before I even really knew it. I love rock, and a lot of the lyrics are quite abstract,
right,
for lack of terminology, I suppose. So when I really kind of dove into songwriting and was learning what I loved about different kinds of music and different songs and stories, it was always the country tunes that resonated with me in terms of the story and the emotional journey that the songs took you on.
Your song, She's My Religion, became #1 on SiriusXM's top of the country radio charts. So what do your parents think of that now? And thinking back to the whole guitar story and raising you with the music that they did, what are they thinking of this life?
They are the most supportive people and most supportive parents I could ask for. They are huge fans, huge supporters, incredibly proud, and they come out to every show they possibly can still. And I think it's exciting and terrifying for them.
Well, you are doing some amazing things, supporting your community, coming out with some awesome music, and then giving us the acoustic live version on top of that. The album dropped today, and you can get it on vinyl, CD too. And
CD as well.
I wonder if anyone's ever going to come back with tapes.
They are starting to come back. We actually looked into making cassette tapes for this record, and we still might do it. A friend of mine, Dan Davidson, put out cassette tapes for his last release, and people were loving it. They were buying them up like crazy.
But it means we have to buy a cassette player. Where do you even get that?
I know. They got to start making them again. It'll be the next resurgence.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Well, thank you so much, Devin, for taking the time with me. And I can't believe I got to talk to you on release day. You must be swamped. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad it was able to work. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about the record.